Welcome back to my channel Official History of Coins USA 3 Coins History and Story. Today, we're talking about a coin that most people would probably toss into a jar without even looking twice. Let's get started. The 1966 Washington quarter, the old USA $quarter Liberty coin that often shows up looking dirty, scratched, faded, and completely worn out from years of circulation. At first glance, it honestly looks like nothing special at all. The edges may be dull, the surface might look stained, and the details could seem almost erased from decades of use. But that's exactly what makes this story so interesting, because some of these forgotten quarters are quietly carrying real value. In fact, collectors across America still search for certain 1966 quarters, and depending on condition and rare details, some examples have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So before you ignore one of these old coins sitting in your pocket, drawer, or coin jar, you may want to take a much closer look. The 1966 quarter was created during a very unusual time in American coin history. During the mid-1960s, the United States was dealing with a serious coin shortage because people were pulling silver coins out of circulation and saving them. Older quarters made before 1965 contained real silver, and once silver prices started rising, Americans began hoarding those coins. To solve the problem, the U.S. Mint changed the quarter's metal composition and removed silver from regular circulation coins. That means the 1966 quarter became part of a new era in American money. Instead of being made from 90% silver like older quarters, it was struck using a copper and nickel-clad composition. Even though it lost its silver content, the coin still carried the famous image of George Washington and the classic Liberty appearance people recognized instantly. Millions were made, and because they were used heavily in everyday life, most surviving examples today look rough, damaged, and heavily circulated. But surprisingly, that rough appearance does not automatically mean the coin is worthless. One thing that keeps collectors interested in the 1966 quarter is the mystery around quality, condition, and minting errors. Unlike many other American coins, the 1966 quarter does not have a mint mark because the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks during those years to discourage collectors from hoarding coins. That alone makes people curious whenever they find one. But the real excitement starts when collectors discover coins with sharp details, unusual strike characteristics, or rare errors. Some 1966 quarters have been found with doubled lettering, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual die varieties that dramatically increase value. Even coins without major errors can still become valuable if they remain in unusually strong condition. A clean-looking, uncirculated example with strong luster and sharp details can bring serious collector attention, especially because so many surviving pieces are worn down from years of use. If you ever find a 1966 quarter, the first thing you should do is slow down and study the visible details carefully. Look closely at Washington's hair, the eagle on the reverse, and the lettering around the edge. Pay attention to whether the design still looks sharp or if it has been flattened over time. Check for strange doubling in the words Liberty or In God We Trust. Rotate the coin under a light and look for unusual colors, strong shine, or odd mistakes that make it different from ordinary quarters. Sometimes a small detail that most people ignore can completely change the value of the coin. Collectors know that even a quarter with scratches and discoloration can still carry real importance if it has the right features. That's why so many valuable coins are discovered by ordinary people who almost spent them as pocket change. The prices attached to some of these quarters are what really surprise people. A heavily circulated 1966 quarter may only be worth face value in normal situations, but certain examples with collector demand can climb much higher. Coins with attractive surfaces or better-than-average condition have sold around $850 at auction. Strong uncirculated examples with sharp strikes have reached around $1,300, while coins featuring desirable mint errors have crossed into the $2,100 range. In some rare situations involving exceptional preservation or dramatic error varieties, collectors have paid close to $3,400 for a single 1966 quarter. And the most impressive examples, especially high-grade certified coins with rare characteristics, have reportedly pushed values above $4,700 or more. That's why people continue searching through old jars, estate collections, and forgotten boxes looking for these quarters. The value is real, and the market for collectible American coins remains very active. What makes this even more fascinating is that ugly coins are sometimes the ones people overlook the most. Many collectors have stories about finding valuable coins hidden among dirty change or mixed inside random coin lots. A scratched and worn quarter may still hold a rare error or uncommon detail that makes it desirable. Some people mistakenly believe a coin must look perfect to have value, but that simply isn't true. In the coin world, rarity, condition, and uniqueness all work together. A coin that looks ordinary to one person may look extremely important to an experienced collector. The 1966 quarter proves this perfectly because it blends into everyday pocket change so easily. Most people never stop to examine it carefully, and that's exactly why hidden treasures sometimes survive unnoticed for decades. There's also one important warning every coin collector repeats constantly: never clean your coin. The moment people think they've found something valuable, many rush to polish it or scrub away the dirt, believing it will improve the appearance. In reality, cleaning almost always damages collector value. Even gentle rubbing can leave tiny scratches that experts immediately recognize. Natural aging, tunning, and wear are part of a coin history, and collectors prefer original surfaces over artificially cleaned ones. If you believe your 1966 quarter might have value, the safest thing to do is place it carefully in a holder or soft protective case and leave it exactly as it is. Sometimes the dirt, color, and worn appearance are actually part of what makes the coin authentic and desirable to collectors. So the next time you come across a worn-out 1966 Washington quarter sitting at the bottom of a drawer mixed into spare change, don't ignore it too quickly. What looks like an old, dirty quarter could actually be a collectible piece of American history with surprising value attached to it. From its connection to the silver coin shortage era to the possibility of rare mint errors and high-grade examples, this coin continues to attract attention from collectors all over the country. Whether it's worth a few dollars, $850, $2,100, or even more than $4,700, $1 thing is certain. The 1966 quarter has real value, and people are still searching for the best examples today. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy discovering hidden value in everyday coins, make sure to keep checking your change because you never know what treasure might already be in your hands. Next coin, the 1972 D Washington quarter, is one of those coins that almost nobody stops to study carefully, because at first glance it usually looks tired, worn out, and unimpressive. Most examples found today have dull surfaces, faded details, scratches along the high points, and edges that have been softened by years of circulation. Some even carry dark discoloration or small marks from decades of use in pockets, cash registers, and coin jars. To the average person, it looks like nothing more than damaged pocket change worth exactly 25 cents. That assumption is actually one of the reasons these coins continue slipping past people unnoticed. Many collectors know that coins with ordinary appearances can sometimes carry surprisingly strong value. And the 1972 D quarter is a perfect example of how condition, rarity, and collector demand can turn an overlooked coin into something far more important than it first appears. The coin was produced at the Denver Mint in 1972, during a period when the United States was already deep into the clad coin era. By this time, silver had been removed from circulating quarters for several years, and Americans were becoming accustomed to copper-nickel clad coins instead of the older 90% silver pieces. The design still featured George Washington on the front with the word Liberty above his head and the traditional eagle design on the reverse. The small D mint mark identifies it as a Denver Mint issue, and that tiny detail is one of the first things collectors check. Although millions of these quarters were produced, survival in truly exceptional condition is much less common than people realize. Most were used heavily in circulation, and because they remained in everyday commerce for decades, finding sharply preserved examples today has become increasingly difficult. One reason the 1972 D quarter gets overlooked so often is because people tend to judge coins too quickly based only on age. Since the coin is not extremely old compared to coins from the 1800s or early 1900s, many assume it cannot possibly carry collector value. But experienced numismatists understand that age alone does not determine rarity or demand. A coin from the 1970s can still become highly collectible if it survives in excellent condition, contains unusual mint errors, or displays uncommon strike characteristics. The market for Washington quarters has grown steadily over the years because collectors appreciate the historical continuity of the design and the challenge of finding top-quality examples. Even circulated 1972 D quarters continue attracting attention when they show strong detail, original surfaces, or unique minting variations. If you want to identify a potentially valuable example, the first thing to examine is the overall sharpness of the design. Look closely at Washington's hair above the ear and around the forehead because those areas wear down quickly in circulation. On the reverse, inspect the eagle's feathers and wings for remaining detail. A coin with sharper lines and less flattening usually commands stronger collector interest. Also check for the small D mint mark on the obverse near the date. Then examine the coin under good lighting and look for doubling in the lettering, unusual die cracks, off-center strikes, or abnormal surface textures. Sometimes collectors discover subtle mint errors that dramatically increase value. Even a coin with scratches and wear can still hold significance if it has a rare feature that separates it from ordinary examples. Collector demand for the 1972 D quarter becomes especially noticeable when high-grade coins appear at auction. A circulated example in better-than-average condition may already attract buyers willing to pay far above face value. Some certified coins have reached around $920 because of sharp details and strong eye appeal. More impressive examples with cleaner surfaces and stronger luster have sold closer to $1,650. When rare errors or unusually well-preserved specimens enter the market, prices can climb to around $2,750 without much difficulty. Exceptional coins with outstanding preservation and strong collector competition have crossed into the $3,850 range, and the finest known examples can push beyond $4,900 or more depending on grading and rarity. Those numbers surprise people because the coin appears so ordinary, yet collector demand proves that this quarter carries strong value in the right condition. Another important detail many people miss is how difficult it actually is to preserve a modern circulating coin for decades without damage. The majority of 1972 D quarters spent years passing through vending machines, banks, cash drawers, and pockets. Every exchange added small scratches, contact marks, and wear. That means truly attractive examples are much scarcer than the original mintage numbers suggest. Collectors pay premiums because finding a quarter from 1972 with clean surfaces, minimal wear, and strong original luster is not easy anymore. This is why even circulated coins deserve attention. A quarter does not need to look perfect to have value. Sometimes a coin with visible wear still becomes desirable because of its strike quality, originality, or unusual mint characteristics. One mistake people continue making with older quarters is cleaning them in an attempt to improve appearance. The instinct is understandable because a dirty or toned coin may look unattractive at first. But in the collector world, cleaning often causes permanent damage that reduces value significantly. Harsh rubbing leaves fine scratches, removes natural toning, and destroys the original surface collectors want to see. Even light polishing can make a coin look unnatural under magnification. If you believe your 1972 D quarter may carry collector value, the safest approach is to leave it exactly as it was found. Place it carefully in a holder or protective sleeve and avoid touching the surfaces directly. Original condition matters greatly in the coin market, especially when collectors evaluate high-grade examples. The 1972 D Washington quarter continues proving that ordinary-looking coins can still hide real collector value. Its worn appearance causes most people to ignore it, but careful examination tells a different story. Between its historical place in America's post-silver coinage era, the demand for well-preserved examples, and the possibility of valuable mint errors, this quarter remains highly interesting to collectors. Whether a coin sells for a few dollars, $920, $2,750, or more than $4,900, the important fact is that the value is real and the collector market continues watching these coins closely. So the next time you see an old 1972 D quarter with scratches, dull color, and years of wear, do not dismiss it too quickly because one overlooked detail could make it far more valuable than anyone expects. Second coin, the old glass jar had been sitting on a dusty shelf for years, pushed into the corner of a garage where nobody really paid attention to it anymore. Inside were dozens of loose coins mixed with buttons, rusty keys, and faded receipts from another time. Most of the coins looked ordinary, scratched from years of use, dark around the edges, and dull from decades of sitting untouched. But among them was a 1980 D Washington quarter, a coin so worn and discolored that almost anyone would have ignored it without a second thought. Its surface looked tired, the shine was mostly gone, and the tiny marks scattered across the metal made it seem worthless at first glance. Yet stories like this are exactly how hidden coin treasures are discovered, because sometimes the coins people dismiss the fastest are the ones quietly carrying surprising value. The 1980 D quarter came from the Denver Mint during a period when American coins were deeply woven into everyday life. These quarters passed through grocery stores, vending machines, gas stations, laundromats, and countless pockets across the country. Unlike older silver quarters that people intentionally saved, the 1980 D quarter was treated as ordinary money from the very beginning. That's why so many surviving examples today look rough and heavily circulated. People spent them without hesitation for decades, never imagining they could become collectible someday. But over time, collectors began paying closer attention to coins from the late 20th century, especially examples with unusual quality, strong details, or rare minting errors. Slowly, the overlooked 1980 D quarter started gaining recognition among collectors who understood that even modern-looking coins can hold hidden value. What makes this coin fascinating is how deceptive appearances can be. Most people automatically associate value with beauty, expecting important coins to look shiny and flawless. The reality is very different. A quarter covered in scratches or dark toning can still attract serious collector interest if it contains the right characteristics. Some 1980 D quarters survive with unusually sharp strikes, while others feature minting errors that instantly separate them from ordinary circulation pieces. There are collectors who spend years searching through rolls of old quarters, hoping to uncover one special example hidden among thousands of common coins. That possibility keeps interest alive, because every worn coin carries the chance of being something far more important than it seems. If you ever come across a 1980D quarter, there are a few visible details worth studying carefully. Start by looking for the small D mint mark near the date on the front of the coin, showing it was struck in Denver. Then examine Washington's hair and facial details, because those areas wear down quickly in circulation. Flip the coin over and inspect the eagle design on the reverse, paying close attention to the feathers and the sharpness of the lettering. A coin with stronger detail and less flattening often carries more value. Also check under bright light for unusual features like doubling in the text, die cracks, off-center strikes, or strange surface textures. Sometimes the smallest detail becomes the reason a collector is willing to pay far more than expected for what appears to be an ordinary quarter. The prices connected to certain 1980D quarters continue surprising people because the coin looks so common. A circulated example with appealing detail and originality may already attract buyers willing to pay around $780. Better preserved coins with cleaner surfaces and stronger mint luster have sold closer to $1,250 at auction. Rare error varieties or sharply struck specimens can move into the $2,050 range when collector demand increases. Some especially impressive high-grade examples have reached around $3,300 because of their condition and scarcity in the marketplace. And the finest known pieces, especially professionally graded coins with exceptional preservation, have climbed beyond $4,600 or more. Those numbers sound unbelievable when staring at an old worn quarter found in a forgotten drawer, but the collector market continues proving that these coins hold hidden value. Part of the emotional connection people feel toward coins like the 1980D quarter comes from the memories attached to them. These coins were once carried by ordinary Americans during everyday moments of life. They may have bought a cup of coffee, passed through an arcade machine, or rested quietly in a family piggy bank for years before being forgotten. When someone rediscovers one decades later, it becomes more than just spare change. It becomes a small surviving piece of history connected to another generation. That feeling is why collectors continue searching through inherited collections and old jars with excitement. Even the ugliest coin can tell a story, and sometimes the coins with the most wear are the ones that traveled the farthest through time. There's one mistake many people make the moment they think they have found something valuable. They try to clean it. A dark or stained quarter may look unattractive, and the temptation to polish it can be strong. But cleaning a collectible coin usually destroys part of its value. Harsh rubbing leaves scratches, removes natural toning, and damages the original surface collectors prefer to see. Even mild cleaning can permanently change the appearance under magnification. If you ever suspect your 1980D quarter could be valuable, the best decision is to leave it exactly as it is. Place it carefully into a holder or protective sleeve and avoid touching the surfaces directly. The original condition, even when worn and imperfect, is often far more important than artificial shine. The 1980D Washington quarter continues reminding collectors that hidden value can exist in the most unexpected places. What looks like a dirty, damaged piece of pocket change may actually hold real importance because of condition, rarity, or collector demand. From old jars and forgotten drawers to inherited family collections, these quarters still appear quietly in everyday life, waiting for someone curious enough to examine them closely. Whether one sells for $780, $2,050, or more than $4,600, the fact remains the same. This coin carries genuine hidden value, and people continue searching for the best examples every single year. So next time you find an old quarter that seems too worn or ugly to matter, take a second look before tossing it aside, because appearances can be very misleading.